What's up guys, welcome to Diving Garage. Today, I'm going to show you how to skip the alignment shop and keep your vehicle aligned for the rest of its life. Let's dive in. Alright y'all, if you haven't noticed on Hank, he's a bit out of alignment. If you can see that there, that tire is pointing outwards, and this one's also pointed outwards a little bit. And the steering wheel is about straight. So what we need to do is we need to get the front end up, get it on jacks so we can see what we're dealing with. And as I lift it up, I'll put you down here by one of the tires and you can see just how bad this really is. All right, so as I'm jacking this up, keep an eye on that tire and you'll see it. Thing is gonna move. See that? The whole tire shifted that way. I don't know, let's call it like an inch. Now why did that happen? We'll find out. I'm gonna take some measurements as we're going along, and I'll show you exactly where it is and exactly where we end up. All right, so I got the wheel peeled off. Let's see how everything looks. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, so if you haven't seen my spacer video, I recommend you go watch that thing, go over a lot of safety things and what exactly can go wrong if these things fail, but how you can make them safe. So overall, the things are looking great, and I don't remember if in that video I showed you the final result, but you can see there, we're getting almost full thread engagement. Pretty close. All right, so what we're gonna be doing today is we're going to be adjusting the toe, and we'll also be adjusting the caster, and I'll get out a tool for that in just a sec. And we're gonna be measuring where the truck is now, what measurements we can make to get the wheels tracking straight, and also to get the caster and camber aligned. So let's get into that. I picked up this piece of 1/8 inch, 1.5 by 1.5 inch aluminum angle iron off Amazon for 20 bucks. And what we're gonna be doing is, first off, we're gonna check and see if it's true. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to a piece of metal I know is true, which is my truck bed here. I know that metal is straight, and I'm gonna compare it. And what you'll see here on the ends is that there's a little bit of daylight. So when you're doing this, go ahead and take it to your bench vise or whatever you have and grab some crescent wrenches and just work with it slowly and surely. It'll get straightened out. And once you got it straightened out, go ahead and just cut it right in half. Oh, this is 6 feet, by the way. So we're gonna end up with 2 3-foot lengths. And once we got those cut and we get the edges smoothed out, then we can come back to the truck and see what kind of holes we need to drill. So on our Chevy K10 here, we're working with a 6 lug by 5.5 inch spacing, or 6 by 5.5. And so what that means is that from each opposite lug, it's 5.5 inches. So from this lug to this lug, or the stud, is 5.5 inches. And then the same there, same here. And in between should be half that, so 2.75. So let's look at the first one. Right in the middle, it's right in the middle. 2.75. Across is a little harder to gauge, but it is. Now we know we need to drill 2 holes that are 2.75 inches apart on center. And these are 7/16 inch studs. I'm gonna go ahead and drill a 1/2 inch hole, so that we got a little bit of wiggle room side to side. And that won't affect our numbers, but we'll be measuring in just a minute. All right, so now that you got your pieces cut, we're gonna do a few things. We're gonna find the center of the whole piece. We're gonna find the center of the leg, and then we're gonna measure 2.75 inches on each side of that center. And don't get too hung up on finding the dead center of each hole. As long as there's enough, leg available on each side, then you're good. Because what we'll be doing is running a tape measure from one end to the other end, measuring the difference between the sides, which will be the front and the rear of the tire. So let's do that. All right, so I got my flat ruler out. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a mark 5/8 from the edge, and then we'll use that location to mark our holes. All right, so I got my caliper set at 2 3/4 inches. I'm gonna put a mark at each one of these points. Okay, and then these 2 lines here, the intersection, is where we're gonna drill our holes. All right, the next tool I'm going to be using is a level. So this is actually a digital level, so it'll be able to tell us what degree of angle we have. So right now, all I want to do is make sure that's level to the ground. As you can see over there, we got a bubble in the middle. I'll go do the other side, then we'll come back. All right, so far so good. I've been out here about an hour, just making sure that angle iron was nice and even, getting the holes drilled, and I just got them bolted onto the truck. So far so good. Now let's get into getting our tape measures out and seeing exactly what this truck is looking at right now as far as alignment. All right, so get yourself out 2 tape measures, and one thing you want to check before you go any further than this, make sure they're not lying to you. Everyone's seen the memes, right, where the tape measures show 2 different things even though they're supposed to be the same length apart. Yeah, so these ones are good to go. I know these ones are good. These ones I use all the time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run them. See if I can tilt you up here. Yeah, you can't really see it, but I have the same setup on the other side. Now I'm going to run the tape all the way over on both ends of this. Okay, got that side up. So I'm going to show you what we got going on here. So we got our 2 tapes and our piece of angle, and on the other side, of course, are linked to the opposite end. And I just put some clamps there just to help them stay. And I'm going to go ahead and go from the very edge to the very edge. And you'll see in the front, no problem. And in the rear, make sure you clear that front drive shaft. All right, so now let's take a look at our values. And I haven't done anything yet. You've seen everything I've done so far. Let's look at our front value. Looks like you got if I can hit focus, that's a 70. And in the rear, 71. So, well, actually, that's funny because I really thought the fronts would be towed out, or I guess it would be this way. The fronts would be towed out. It actually looks like the backs are out farther than the fronts. Interesting. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get to our swivel joint here. I'm going to loosen up the nuts, and we're going to turn that turnbuckle in the middle to make them line up. So what that'll entail is basically extending it, so that way we can make, hopefully we can meet in the middle. If we can get a 70.5 and a 70.5, that'd be great. Oh, also, I didn't mention it, but our alignment bar here, it cleared perfect. So if you do it just like I did, you shouldn't run into any clearance issues. You might, in some cases, you might have to clearance out like the middle, but in this case, it worked out perfect. Alrighty, now that those are loose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that turnbuckle and rotate it so that way we can hopefully balance out here. Like I said before, we can get a 70.5 and 70.5. I think we'd be sitting pretty. Let's see, can I turn this by hand? Yes, yes I can. Look at that. So you can see it moving. Watch that number there. All right, so that is 70.5 in the front. Let me go check the rear. And the rear got worse. The rear went to 71 3/4. So let's try it the opposite way. Oh, if this gets a little tough, get yourself out a screwdriver. There's a little slot in there. You just turn it that way. No shame in that. Let's get back to 70. Now let's go out to 70. Let's try 70.25 first. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's about 70.25. Let's check the rear. The rear is about 70 7/8. So let's keep going. We found the right way at least. Let's try 70 3/8. Getting warmer, about 70 5/8. Let's try right there. Oh, we're almost there. I got 70.5 in the front and 70 and I don't know, 9/16. So a 16th off, that is not bad. That is not bad. Let's see if we can get it a little closer. We can get it dead on, that'd be great. All right, let's try that. 70 9/16 in the front. About that in the rear. Perfect. So our toe angle is set. Yes. All right, I'm gonna give you a tour, see what's going on here. So you saw what I was doing. I was just turning this turnbuckle here. And in the front, focus. Get you a better angle. Got 70. Yeah, let's call it 9/16. And in the rear, 70 and just about 9/16. Perfect. So we're looking pretty good. I mean, that was way off before. Now we're within a 16th. I'm gonna call that much, much better. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get that turnbuckle and tighten down both of those clamps, and we'll move on to the driver's side and we'll align the wheel. All right, y'all, sorry if I seem out of breath. It is muggy and humid as all get out today. But I'm out here for you, making some hopefully informative content so you can get out there and dive in your next projects, like I always say, right? I mean, if this is your first video or you're a bit newer to the channel, that's the point of the whole channel, is I want to empower you with some knowledge, with some tips and tricks, and of course a little bit of entertainment along the way, so you can work on your rig, work on your ride, and keep it on the road and keep enjoying it. Because these classics, man, they're getting a little bit harder to find. Well, good ones at least. There are plenty of rotted out ones. They're getting a little bit harder to find, and we gotta save them. Perfect. Oh, did I forget to say click? Click. All right, so now we're gonna work on the steering wheel alignment, and that's controlled by this turnbuckle here. And in case you're curious too, this is a raised steering arm because you want this, these two links as flat as possible. And even so, I'm not completely parallel to the ground here, but pretty good. And that's what you accomplish with this raised steering arm. What we're gonna do is loosen up these two nuts and bolts here, and we'll go into the truck and we'll see where the steering is at, and then look at how much this adjustment makes a difference. And we're also trying to keep in mind this link here. We want this to be centered, so we have even number of turns left and even number of turns right on the steering wheel. You don't want to have, say for example, 2 turns left but 3 turns right. That doesn't make any sense. We want to have it equal on both sides. All right, so right now our steering wheel is, yeah, it's right here. It's not not straight. So let's go ahead and loosen up that link and see how much we can straighten this out. All right, so you can see here, when I'm turning this turnbuckle, this distance is changing, which is causing the steering wheel to move. You can see how the steering shaft is moving here. So what you're going for, again, is you want an even number of turns. We'll go ahead and, I'm gonna push this out quite a bit because I know my steering wheel is out of alignment, but I also wanna see, if this can point straight like that. And I have a lot of adjustment left, so I'm not worried about it coming out of adjustment. And I wanna see if I can make this straight to the side at a 90-degree angle. We'll check, yeah, quite a bit left still. And now I'm gonna go test inside the truck and test the steering wheel to see if I have the even number of turns left and right. I'll bring you. Steering wheel is way off. When I put this on, this is when I was assembling the truck back together when the cab was sitting on cinder blocks over in the corner, right? So I had a feeling this was gonna happen, but let me check left and right anyway. So we actually have a good reference point. This spoke here is sitting straight up. So I'm gonna go left, see how many turns I get until it stops me. There's one turn, and there's my tapes falling off because I forgot to take them off. Turn and a half. So we got just over a turn and a half to get back to center. So I'll go ahead and bring this back. All right, so that's about where we started, and let's check to the right. Half a turn. There's one turn. Let's see if we get just about over a turn and a half. If we do, okay, we got just under a turn and a half. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shorten up the shaft here. And then, that's not normally what we do, is it? I'm gonna shorten up the shaft. I want to get these wheels straight. And then let's try it again. Because like I said, you want to make sure that you're getting an even number of turns left and right. All right, cool, now that we're straight. And I made a mess of everything. I'll get this cleaned up. I'm gonna adjust that turnbuckle a little more, and I'll show you what the result is. All right, so I got the angle iron straight and where the wheels would be, and it came in and checked the steering wheel, and it's just about upside down. So not too bad for putting this on blind, but I'll go ahead and get that flipped around. All right, well, that was eventful, and I should have recorded it. So obviously, as you can see, I got the steering wheel correct. What I did first was I pulled the steering wheel and tried to flip it, but only to find that there's a little stock for the horn. That can only go one way, so there's only one way to put it. So I was like, okay, well, I need to flip it then. So I went down here to the actual steering shaft, and I rotated that 180 degrees. And that straightened me out, no big deal. But then when I was going to put the steering wheel back on, I accidentally snapped that horn stock. So it's funny because I didn't even know that the horn worked. I didn't remember hooking it back up. And so when I took the steering wheel off, I heard a honk and I was pleasantly surprised. But I guess we're back down to no horn again. Oops. Anyway, that problem is done. Now let's go check out what our camber and caster look like. Okay, so we're over here, and then we got my level with the digital readout, and all you got to do is just put it right up against your disc brake, and you can see there it's off. Well, no, it's bang on 90. Now there's a lot of conversation to be had about how much camber or caster you want, but for this truck and for this purposes of this video, I'm just gonna leave it right there, bang on at 90. Do some research into camber and caster, figure out what's best for your car or truck. Like I said, for this one, I'm just gonna leave it right there. Alrighty, y'all, that's it. You saw how to take $20 worth of Amazon aluminum and keep your car or truck in line. You know, Hank's looking really good. I'm happy to have the steering wheel straight and flat. I've been driving around like this and like this, not knowing which way was straight for the longest time now. So if anything else was accomplished, that was all worth it. So hey, if you liked the video, I appreciate it if you hit like, subscribe, and if you really like the video, check down below for channel membership options. I appreciate all the support, I really do, guys, and I try to respond to all the comments as best I can. As always, I hope this video was helpful to you, and now get out there and dive in your next project. Catch you next time.